Good evening. It's Wednesday, the 29th of July, and here's the day done by dark. Tonight, the Federal Reserve held rates steady, and the only three people who disagreed wanted them higher. Wall Street lost 1,100 points. Oil went back above $90 in a single afternoon. Microsoft and Meta spent the same money on the same bet and got opposite answers. And at the end, a country declaring itself free of Ebola. The Federal Reserve left its benchmark rate where it has sat all year, 3.5 to 3.75%. Fifth meeting in a row without a change. On its own, that isn't news. This is. The vote was 9-3, and all three dissenters wanted rates to go up. Beth Hammack of Cleveland, Neil Kashkari of Minneapolis, Lori Logan of Dallas, each voted for a quarter-point increase. For 2 years, the argument inside that room was how fast to cut. Tonight, the only people who broke ranks broke the other way. This was the second meeting chaired by Kevin Warsh, who has taken forward guidance out of the statement. The Fed no longer tells you what it expects to do next. Traders went in giving roughly one chance in 3 to an increase. Warsh's own account of the meeting. I asked for a good family fight, and I got one. He said 5 years of inflation above target cannot be cured in 9 weeks. The market did not hear patience. The Dow fell 1,129 points, 2.1%. Its worst day since April of last year. The S&P 500 lost 1.5%, its lowest close in a month. But the number that explains the selling isn't a stock number. The 30-year Treasury yield rose above 5.2%, the highest since 2007. The Fed held the short rate still, and the long end went up anyway. That is the bond market saying it does not believe inflation is finished. So why wouldn't the Fed take a win it had been handed? Because June's inflation report was good. Headline inflation came down to 3.5% from 4.2. Core fell to 2.6. Month to month, prices actually dropped 0.4%. The biggest monthly fall since April of 2020. And nearly all of it was energy. The energy index fell 5.7%. Gasoline alone fell 9.7%. Shelter and food both still went up. This afternoon, energy went the other way. Brent crude jumped more than 7.5% to $90.52 a barrel after American forces intercepted an Iranian attack and Iran-backed drones struck Saudi oil facilities. June's good inflation number was cheap gasoline. Cheap gasoline stopped being true this afternoon. 3 people voted to raise rates because they can read a barrel chart. After the closing bell, the 2 biggest bills in artificial intelligence came due. Microsoft's capital spending rose 70% to $41 billion in a single quarter, and its profit still beat expectations, up 31%. The stock went up. Meta's revenue rose 28%. Its expenses rose 55%. Profit fell 14% and missed badly, and the company guided next year's spending as high as $145 billion. The stock fell 6%. Same money, same bet, opposite verdicts, inside the same hour. And Microsoft says 2/3 of that spending goes to short-lived assets, chips mainly. This isn't a cathedral. It's equipment that wears out. In southwestern Europe, about 360,000 people have now been moved out of the way of fire. 220,000 of them are from the Gironde in southwest France, where one fire has burned 160 square miles and injured more than 110 firefighters. France's interior minister called it very likely the largest civilian evacuation in the country's history outside wartime. In Spain, the fire near Avila is the largest on record there, and 13 people have died in Spanish fires this year. Tonight the fires are stabilizing, with the heat set to climb again. In Japan, the death toll from Tuesday's magnitude 7.1 earthquake in Kyushu rose from 13 to 18. Rescuers are still working a collapsed shopping mall. And to end tonight, Uganda's health minister declared the country's Ebola outbreak over. 20 people were infected. 2 died. If you didn't know it had started, that is more or less the point. It was found, traced, and closed out before it became something anyone had to be afraid of. Here's the honest part. Next door, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the same disease is still spreading, and that outbreak is approaching the largest ever recorded. So this isn't a story about a disease being beaten. It's a story about a method that works when it's funded and staffed, proven in one country while the same illness runs in the one beside it. The method isn't the variable. The money is. Before you go, here's what to watch tomorrow. Amazon and Apple report, closing out the week Microsoft and Meta just split down the middle. Watch the 30-year yield. If it stays above 5.2% after a hold, the bond market is telling you the Fed is behind. And watch whether oil holds above $90, because August's inflation number is being written at the pump tonight. That's Wednesday, a day when everyone who disagreed at the Federal Reserve disagreed in the same direction, and a small outbreak in Uganda ended quietly. Rest well. We'll be right here again tomorrow evening to wrap whatever comes. Done by dark. Good night.